Are you stuck? What about unhappy? Join Alena Chapman, author, mentor, and life coach for 30-minute moments as she challenges you to get out of the doldrum and start living your life to the fullest. It's time to celebrate that life with 30-minute moments.
Welcome to 30-Minute Moments, and I'm your host, Alena Chapman, and as you know, this show is all about the ease and betterment in your life. And, again, I'm driving in to do this show, and I started to think, I was feeling so good. I was listening to my favorite songs, and they're really cool songs, and they always get me in a certain mood. And I started to think this creative feeling. We all want that creativity. And I always say the soul is three things, guys. It is all about greater creativity, which is expression, greater expansion, which is growth, and always, always, always that wonderful love. That's what really shines. But when we're talking about creativity, the spirit of creativity, well, actually all of this comes together. But when you have that creativity, it's really a state of being. You can't just sit down and say, okay, I'm going to write today. Well, some of you can, but I don't know. But really, then you sit there and you thumb the pencil around, or you're looking at the computer, and then before you know it, you're looking on social media. Well, all right. I'll tell you, when you're in the state of being creative, that is when your ideas are coming every 10 seconds, where when you sit down to write, it flows. Every life problem, you're doing it out of creative. You don't get upset. You don't mull it in your brain forever. You actually go at it with creativity. Now, I'm going to give you one tip this week that I want you to try, okay? I want you to start doing gratitudes. Now, I want you to do that gratitude exercise. I'm always saying in the morning, you know me with gratitude exercises and that morning connection, big, big deal. But then during the day, I want you to continue that. Don't just start your day in creativity, but then everything. Look up at the clouds. Be thankful for the glorious. The weather we're having, glorious. The people who are sweet to you, oh my God, they're glorious. Because when you do that gratitude enough, it opens up into wonder. And wonder fosters and inches out that beautiful creative spirit from inside you. So give that a try today. All right, that's my little nugget. Now we're going to move on. Now I have a very special guest today. I met her because she introduced me on her show, and I liked her style. So I thought, okay, we're going to get her on because you guys are going to, I think you're really going to click with her. And I want to pronounce her name right, and she will correct me if I'm wrong, because it's a little, I think I wrote it down. But her name is Dr. Fujan Zain. She is a psychotherapist and a coach, an international speaker, author, and a television host. And she has her doctorate in clinical psychology and is a licensed marriage and family therapist. Okay, all this sounds great. Dr. Zain has a large private practice in Brentwood, California. Her expertise is in intimate relationships and addictive behaviors. Very cool. We're going to have to ask her some questions about that. She has extensive experience treating individuals and couples in restoring their intimate relationships and addictive disorders, depression, anxieties, traumas, domestic violence. She does it all. So with that, and she has a wonderful book out that is called, I want to make sure I get the name exactly right, Life Reset. Now, that's an interesting concept that I really grab hold of. So with that, I want to bring you on. Dr. Fujan, how are you?
I'm doing pretty well. It is such an honor and it's such a joy to be on your show. I have a tremendous experience, as you said, with you. I learned a lot from you, and it's a great pleasure to be with you and your audience now.
Oh, it's a wonderful. Oh, I love this. I really want to dig right in because we only have a half an hour. We have to dig right in. I could talk coffee and shop with you all day, but let's talk about this. Let's talk about this idea, because you help people with intimate relationship things. You help them with anxiety, addiction, all this stuff. And then you come out with this book, Life Reset. And that's really what it's about. Can you tell us a little bit about the concept of Life Reset?
Sure. Alena, I've been a therapist for about 30 years, so I've attempted to learn everything that was out there in all concepts of theory, whether they were brief theory and doing things with your cognition and changing your thoughts so you could change your feelings, or other theories that, you could focus on your emotions, and then with that you could open the door and go in, or like behaviorists where you could change your behaviors and try to open that up. Then I went into the path of spirituality. I went to the path of personal growth with a lot of classes. And what I got was, every one of these had just a jewel. There were parts of them which were amazing. Right. And I just picked all the parts that I thought that were amazing, and I created the awareness integration model, which is it's a particular path that questions and a process that you can go through. But it also showed up as, Alena, I thought and I saw. We all live in relationships.
Oh,
Even
gosh.
to ourselves,
Yes.
we're in a relationship to ourselves.
Yes.
Even, for example, with money. We are in a relationship with money. Like, even though we're talking about objects, not even people, right?
Right.
So we live in the world of relationships. Even if you take us somewhere and don't let us talk to anybody, what do? We take a tennis ball and we'll create a relationship with the tennis ball.
That's true. That's very true. Everything is relationships. If you really think about it, everything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So then you look at, there's a world that goes from me and my perception to the world, right? There's a way that I think about the world, I feel about the world, and I act upon the world around me. People around me, objects, animals, and all of that.
Right.
And then there's a second part, which there's always this assumption that I trigger in my head about how does the world relate to me? So as
interesting.
we're always thinking, what does so-and-so think about me? What does my mate think about me? My child think about me? Even the dog who's passing by, what is he thinking about me? Is he going to come and bite me, or is he going to be there, right?
Right. Oh, that's awful. Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yes.
It's a part of us that's consistently, in order to protect ourselves, we project. How does the world react?
View me. Yes. Yes.
View me. So we project, how the world, the way they think of us or the way they feel toward us, and then we assume or observe about the way that the world, anybody out there, it behaves toward us.
Yes.
And then the third component is, Alena, we take ourselves everywhere. So regardless of whatever is happening between us and the world, there's always a way that we have this narrative about ourselves.
Yep. We have that story running in our head. That's why we can't run away from ourselves.
You got it. So we think about ourselves. We have a particular feeling about ourselves. And we have a particular behavior toward ourselves. Like we'll nourish ourselves, or we'll punish ourselves, or we'll scold ourselves.
Very silly.
And I took these three components, and I got it that, the only way that we could really be a conscious human being is to start being aware. So that's why the awareness part showed up.
It's key. It's key.
The key, and as we're growing up, Alena, everybody is teaching the child how to look outside. By the time we get 30, and then we're like, okay, now let's go into meditation and figure out who we are, or let's go to psychotherapy and figure out who we are.
Exactly.
Like, this should be something we're doing every single day. Like, we're probably one of the many animals on the face of this earth that has the capacity and capability to be aware of ourselves, like come out of ourselves and actually look at ourselves.
Yes.
It's like that's a skill that inherently we have, but we don't necessarily cherish it or flourish it.
No. Vernon Howard, remember Vernon Howard? He was in the 60s and 70s. He had the exercise of observation. So, yes, and that's kind of a little bit of what you were hinting at. I thought that's interesting. That's a very good exercise. Yeah, I like that. Go ahead.
What I'm trying to do is also to distinguish between our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors, because if we consistently have this distinction, which one are my thought, which one are my feeling, and which one is my behavior,
I know.
What are my assumptions? If I create this distinction constantly, then when something goes wrong, like if I intended something and it's not showing up for me, if I can go back and say, well, was it my thought that was not rational and it was not appropriate, or it just
we have to talk about
thinking.
This is big. Yes.
Yeah, or was it my emotion that it's an emotion that's showing up and I'm reacting on it, and is the emotion appropriate for the situation, or is it coming from something else that I need to handle? Or is it that I've gotten used to a particular behavior that it worked at one point and is no longer working and I got to shift it?
I love this.
If I actually do these distinctions, then I can immediately shift. Look at what's going on. I intended to create this. This didn't show up for me. Where is it in myself, thought, emotion, or behavior? Which one can I shift? Go back into the intention and, shift that part so I can create the result that I actually intended. And then in this book, Life Reset, then I go through every area of your life. Because every area, leaks into the other area, right? Like we're a child and we have all of the learnings that are coming up. And if I have a wounding or learning, all of that is going to take me to the next stage. And it's part of the fabric of my character. So if somebody comes to my office and says I have an issue with my mate, well, that issue isn't just with that. Then we look at all the areas of life which also contributes to this, and it's part of the fabric of life, which then makes you who you are also with
Well, of course, our experiences do make us that. With this, I find it really interesting. I love that you go back and you check. I teach a little bit different because I'm, spiritual. But I like that people have an option to go back and say, wait a minute, this didn't end up the way I had planned. Now, wait a minute. And you know what I'm talking about. I know you do. There are people who say, well, Alena, I've been just trying so hard to visualize this, and it's just not coming into fruition. And so it's nice that you can go back in, and all of us have had things that haven't worked out. You can go back in and look at these different aspects, just like you would on a computer program that wasn't working out, or a story that wasn't working out. Why wasn't it working? And you check the different areas. You do the same thing in you. I like that idea.
Yeah, and you can also find what's working, and those you could use as strengths and put them in your toolbox, imaginary toolbox, that you have these strengths that when something is not working out, you can always go back and bring.
You have to have those. Yeah, you have to have your toolbox. With that, we're going to take a break, and we'll come back and talk about this imaginary toolbox, which I love. You're listening to 30-Minute Moments. I'm your host, Alena Chapman. We'll be right back.
You're listening to 30-Minute Moments with Alena Chapman, helping you discover your true purpose on WOWO and at WOWO.com.
Welcome back to 30-Minute Moments. And we are here with Dr. Foojan Zeine. And I really am interested, Doctor, with this imaginary toolbox. I like the imagery. I like the idea. Of course, we all have tools. I always use the pocket. You use the toolbox. I like this. Talk a little bit more about how people, I always believe in concrete because it helps people understand. So let's say, all right, so I've got a goal coming up. I'm going to sell, we both have books. We're going to be an international bestseller. All right, we go to sell those books. We think we got the plan. It's not working out. Nothing's working the way we want it to. Now, how can I go into my toolbox and get out the tools that'll make that work correctly?
So there are a lot of experiences that we've had since childhood that it has worked for us. So we need to look at what is part of our personality, what are some of the moving forward and positive thinking and belief systems that we have that makes us move forward. What are some of the positive emotions that we have? For example, in the beginning of your show, you were talking about gratitude.
Yes.
So coming back, for example, knowing that, putting myself in the position of gratitude will push me forward, or wonder, you said. Those are emotions that those states of beings that I can take myself there because it promotes me, and then from there I can move forward. I can look at behaviors that I have done that moves me forward. Maybe it's a structural behavior that I can say, I'm going to plan myself, wake up every morning, do this, I'm going to make those calls. Right before I make those calls to those agents and this person and that person, I'm going to first get my emotion and states of being clear.
Yes.
So it's like those are particular ways that we know it has worked for us before that gets us to our optimum place, and those will be the ones which we already know and we can keep adding based on experience and we go.
Yeah.
On the same token, we got to know that there are also restrictive and negative core beliefs that we have also accumulated.
Critical mind and paradigms, critical mind, whatever you call it, but it's the same thing. Exactly. Yes, yes.
Our mother wasn't looking at us 1 minute, and I turned around and I said, "That's it, I'm bad," and I take on. And out of all the stuff that my mother said, I just picked that one, and I insisted that I'm bad and I'm carrying it.
It is funny it's very funny what we do absorb. It's not always accurate, and yet we hold it in our mind like it's the gospel truth. Exactly. And we use it against ourselves. Yes. It's funny. It's very funny.
Part of the awareness integration model is after we do those kind of like the 12 questions of what am I thinking, what am I feeling, what am I behaving, and what is the impact of this kind of thinking, feeling, behaving, how am I impacting my life by doing this? Then through that, especially when I say, how do I think about myself? How do I feel about myself? We can find the core beliefs that are also negative. Yes. And then we have this process that you go back to the original memory so I'll teach you the self-hypnosis that you could do, and you go through your body to the original memory that you made that decision. Most of us, Alena, think that the world does something to us.
I know it. Isn't that so silly? Yes.
And so this awareness that the world is the world. And
the world is the world. It's exactly right.
I pick up things, and then I make it about myself and the world, and then I live on this story. The point is that when I'm responsible and accountable for making this up, I also become powerful enough to shift it if I don't like it, because I get it that this is my story. And then I shift the story to the place that it can move me forward.
Exactly.
To create the life that I want.
We do have to sit down for coffee sometime, my dear. We do it in a little bit different ways, but I'll tell you what, we have the same goals, and I like both of them. Very cool ideas. And so if you have, so you shift it. So again, you pull out the things that will, some of these tools from the toolbox, like the gratitude, like visualization, like walking for whatever it may be, or checking in with yourself and checking those beliefs that are holding you back. And then you can adjust. You adjust life to where you want to go.
Yes.
You create it.
So, for example, couples come to my office or individuals come in, and they have this passive thinking that they're just running the show, and they kind of like fan themselves to more anger or fan themselves to more belittling themselves,
They feed that anger. Yes. Yeah.
And then I just say, tell me, how is this way of thinking working for you? And they'll stop and look at me. Does it? Yeah. I'm like, and great. So what is the use of you continuing? And I get it that it's automatic, but now that I'm stopping you and bringing you into awareness, I want you to learn you can stop yourself. Yes. A lot of those are automatic. We don't have an option about the thoughts that show up. We just don't.
No.
Our brain does that as an animal.
Well,
it does that.
It's the critical mind. Yes.
Yes. But we do have an option. Now that I notice, may I stop it? Yes, you can.
Yes.
You can stop it and reshift it and put something else instead of it. Refocus yourself into the things that are working for you. And so another conversation is that every time that somebody comes, the beginning of a therapy session, I always ask, last week, what worked for you and what didn't?
Yeah, I do too.
Ask specifically, what type of thoughts worked for you? Because the thoughts that worked for you, I want you to put it in the imaginary toolbox. And the thoughts that didn't work for you, I want you to notice, become aware, and then start shifting them and see where the sources are. And out of that source, heal the source, and then, shift it. And then we go to the emotions. Alena, I'm sure you've come to some of this with people you work with.
Of course, yes.
There are particular emotions also that we're used to. Some people just run on anger. Some people just run on shame.
Yes.
And it's become such a fabric of our personality that we don't notice it, that regardless, we just go into it. I remember one of the mornings I used to wake up like 20 years ago, and I used to fight with people in my own head. I had this dialogue that I was going to win the fight in my own head under the shower and as I'm driving. And one day I'm watching my hand, like fighting with in my imaginary friend in my head. And I'm like, Fujan, what are you doing?
Yeah.
It's
interesting.
No There's no human being here that you're fighting. You're fighting with yourself, and stop. And I used to, drive in this beautiful Topanga Canyon, and people who are from LA, they know such a gorgeous view. I used to miss this every day because I was doing this fight in my own head.
Yes.
What a waste.
I know, what a waste. You know, it is funny. And to give it credit, people don't see it because, number one, they see it everywhere else, and they don't have the awareness that they're even in it. You snapped into it. You got your own awareness by seeing your hand wave in the air. So you said, what are you doing? And all of a sudden you snapped into awareness. It's getting people to that awareness, I feel, is the biggest key because it gives you the power. If you get the awareness, you get the power. We're going to have to take a break right now, guys. I want to come back. We want to talk a little bit more about this awareness. And also, it's the favorite part of the show, the shift. So come right back.
This is 30-Minute Moments with Alena Chapman, helping you find your inner self every Sunday on WOWO and at WOWO.com.
Welcome back to 30-Minute Moments. And guess what? It's the shift. All right, Dr. Foujan. This is the part where it's your pivotal moment. We have them all the time. The aha moments, the wake-up calls. Do you have a story for us today?
Alena, I came from parents who were divorced. I was molested from age 3 to 8.
Oh, wow.
I came to the United States at age 12 alone, and I raised myself.
Wow.
And then for a long time, I was also in the space of I'm the victim of the world. And you know what? I got my stories to tell you how much of a victim I am. And at one point, Alena, it was more like the awareness came and the shift came, which is I deserve to be happy.
Yes.
I deserve. And I think that every human being that's on the face of the earth has the capacity, the capability, and deserving to be happy. And at one point I got it, that the world has no promise to make me happy.
No.
I'm the one who has to make the promise. So I made a promise to myself that no matter what the circumstances are, and there are a lot of circumstances all day, that I'm committed to being happy and create happiness for people around me.
I love
and I hope that everybody does that.
And this is incredible, and you know that your story it's very traumatic, but there are so many others who have grown up just like you in so many ways. And with that, and they're still struggling. They're still singing that story, staying in that victimhood role. And how did you wake up from it? How did you say, I want to be happy now? What was it?
The concept of being responsible and accountable for my own way of being, whether it was my thoughts, my emotions, and the way I acted upon the world. The concept of responsibility and accountability, it showed freedom to me.
Yes.
I know that for most of the world, if you tell them the word responsibility and accountability, to them it appears to be jailed, burdened, heavy. And it's truly it's truly a freedom. The minute you get that you are responsible for what you just said and you have the power to change what you just said, what just came out of your mouth. And if you hurt someone, to say, I apologize, I'm so sorry that I've hurt you.
Yeah.
Whether I intended it or not, even if I intended it, I didn't want this result. Or even if I wanted this result, now I look at, I've lost you, and I'm so sorry. This way of being responsible for my way of being is important because, Alena, we impact the world whether we're responsible for it or not.
Yes, we do. Well. We might as well take responsibility. But I love what you said. Responsibility offers you freedom. So many times, you're right, people will turn away thinking, oh my God, more responsibility. But you know what responsibility means? It really means, everyone. It means that I'm not going to let something else control me. I am not going to let something else make decisions for me. I'm not going to let something else create my world. I'm going to do it. And the freedom you feel is, oh my gosh, you feel like a creating person. You feel like I'm alive. You can celebrate when you want to celebrate. You can cry when you want to cry. You can be whoever you want to be. You can do what you want to do. And it's all because you want to do it. It's so different. I love your story.
It's a different vibe. It's a different space to show up from.
Yes.
And, and also people are very clear with you because they know you're real.
Yes.
They know you're authentic. They figure it out that either they can, push you or not push you, or be your friend or not be your friend, and they're clear in where the space that you are. And the most amazing thing to have in your life is this kind of a crisp clarity for yourself.
Beautiful.
And you ooze that out to other people.
Yeah. And people love you for it too, because you give them hope. You really do. You give them hope.
Count on you.
And they can count on you. Yeah. They think you're real. They don't see a lot of real.
They can count on you that if you're saying I don't like something, you mean it. And if you're saying I like something, you mean it. And if there's a particular way that you're giving a compliment, you truly mean it. If you tell them I love you, you mean it.
Yes.
You really can count on you being real.
Yeah. Oh, I love this. And so if people want to get hold of you in some way or learn more about your book, how would we do this?
Foojan.com, FOOJAN.com. And it has all of it. It has my radio show, YouTube channels, all of my social media is there. All my social media is at Dr. Foojan Zain.
Oh, and and your show?
Yeah, my show, I have a show at KNET 1490, which is on ABC Radio. It's a heartfelt chat with Dr. Foojan Zain. It's on Mondays, 3 p.m. Pacific time.
I love it. And we'll put links up, folks, for you. So today, I think everyone, take responsibility for yourself. Do the observation. Things that you don't like, now you have awareness. You have the power to change. And start opening the door to wonder. Because that will also, I think that's the bit of sugar that helps everything else go easier. And Dr. Foojan, do you have anything you would like to leave for everyone?
You said the word love in the beginning of your show.
Oh, yes.
I think that when you look at the essence of the essence and the energy of love is really healing.
Yes.
It's truly healing.
Yes.
So, starting in the morning, looking at yourself, looking at your own eyes, and start by loving yourself. And to me, love means also acceptance.
Totally.
So you accept yourself, that's who you are.
Totally.
And then, start with that, with accepting and loving everything that's around you, people who are around you, every moment that you live. I think that, the minute we get ill, then we start like, oh, my God, what happened to all the time that I lost? And I'm like, well, cherish every time all the time that you have right now.
That's right.
And if we die, then, we
even
die
while we're sick.
Experience.
Yeah, even while we're sick.
Yeah.
This week is your time to come to awareness and come to a little bit of wonder and start loving this person of who you are. I think that's a cool week, guys. Always, 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 namaste. Stay connected to yourself, stay connected to others, and stay connected to the universe. Thank you for joining us on 30 Minute Moments. We'll see you next week.
This has been 30 Minute Moments featuring Alena Chapman. If you missed an episode, download it now at wowo.com.
Podcasts by Federated Media.